My dear friends in Christ, about 2.5 months ago, the Stewardship Commission asked me if I would be a guest homilist. The first weekend I had an opportunity, checking my calendar, I found that this was the first weekend I was not tied up at some other parish. And so I was pleased to commit myself to be here on this weekend. And it turned out to be very providential as far as the scriptures are concerned, because I was asked to preach on stewardship and tithing. It's kind of the history of those things in St. Teresa of Lisieux Parish. And last Sunday, you might recall the gospel reading, wherein Jesus talked about the Pharisee going up to the temple and boasting about how good he was, that he fasted twice a week and that he gave tithes on all that he possessed, not just as gross income or his net income, but he tithed on all that he possessed, fulfilling the gospel mandate to return at least a tenth to God of the blessings that we had received, that he had received. And today, of course, we have that conversion of Zacchaeus, the little fellow who climbed the tree so that he could see Jesus, get a look at his physical appearance. And conversion took place just from that encounter with Christ. And Zacchaeus said, I'll give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I've defrauded anyone, I'll repay him fourfold. Well, tithing doesn't mean you have to give half of your possessions to the poor, but just to give kind of a generous portion back to God who owns everything anyway. That's what tithing is all about in the biblical concept, recognizing, as Psalm 24 verse 1 says, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Whatever comes from that, through the energy and talents of human beings, it all belongs to God. Everything that we have, we hold in trust for others. And that's what stewardship and tithing is all about. It's the return to God of a grateful servant and a return in trust, trusting that God will provide for us all that we need. Well, around the time when our parish was starting, just prior to that, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops published their directive and their letter on stewardship. And so it came about that Cardinal Maida decided that he should implement that when we approached asking for the funds that we need to start the parish. It all began kind of with a chance encounter that I had with one of the fellows at the grocery store down at Kroger's in Hall Road in Shaner. And he said, "You look like the picture of that priest that was published in the Macomb Daily. You the priest who's starting that new parish somewhere around here?" And I said, "Well, that's the plan." And he said, "Well, I've been going to the Methodist Church, and you're gonna have a fundraiser? You're gonna pay somebody to collect money to build that church?" And I said, "I don't know. We'll find out what the parishioners want to do, how they want to run things." And so we had our first parish-wide meeting in February of 1992. We were about 8 months old at that time. About 200 people showed up on a Sunday afternoon in the old massage parlor down there on Hall Road, the old Tokyo Spa that had been connected with the place for those who were more voyeuristic and less active, the Video Joy. We knocked down the walls. So we had our meeting there that Sunday afternoon, about 2 hours. And people asked, how are we going to build the church? How are we going to afford that? Well, we recognized that financially, if we had a 3-year building drive, with just having started out, that wouldn't be enough money to build the church, and we'd have to go back and have a second 3-year drive. That wouldn't be enough either. And people would say, wait a minute, I've had these 3-year drives forever. And so it was discerned that, maybe tithing is the way. Everybody give in proportion as they've been blessed. Time, talent, and their financial treasure. And I remember that the discussion came up about sharing with the poor and those who have less. And one of the neighboring parishes used to take a collection once a month and designate it for whomever the parishioners wanted to designate. And so that question was raised, and it was suggested, since Catholic tithing is donating 5% to the parish and 5% to other charities, that maybe we should give 5% to those organizations and individuals that need assistance. Well, I remember one of my good friends asked the question, well, Father Tom, can we afford to do that? Naturally, I responded, can we afford not to do that? We have to take care of the poor in our midst. We can't wait till we got everything settled. You don't do that in anything else. You take care of the essentials, but you share with those who have less. And so as a parish, we decided that we would do that also. Well, then when eventually it came time to go to the consultors, these half a dozen priests who are chosen by the cardinal to be advisors to him on financial matters about the parishes, and I was asked, well, how are you going to pay for this? They said, well, we're going to do it with stewardship. We're going to ask the people to share in proportion as they've been blessed. And well, some of the consultants were pretty concerned about that, and that had never been done before in this archdiocese and post anywhere else. And the cardinal reflected, and ultimately he said, well, we bishops wrote this pastoral letter about stewardship and trusting God and returning in gratitude, so I guess maybe we have to take that risk. And so indeed, we were the first parish in the diocese that was given permission to build on hope, build on confidence of the people that they would indeed respond and make this a go. And so part of the program of what's so-called sacrificial giving was that we had a couple of speakers come in who had experienced tithing in their own lives. A couple from Fort Wayne, Indiana, who were parents of 15. Yesterday I said 10, but they had 5 children in the meantime. No, I checked my notes. They had 15 children, and they had been tithing for years. And it's not that they were millionaires either, but they recognized that God was inviting them to make that sacrifice, and so they did. And the following week, we had a single woman who shared with us her experience of tithing, despite the fact that she was indeed all by herself as a breadwinner. And so eventually, our own parish, our business manager, Paul Kahns, embraced that concept and recognized that, yeah, we really owe that to God. We don't own all this stuff ourselves. God trusted us and trusted it to us. We hold everything that we have in trust for others. And so Paul not only became convinced and implemented in his own life, as did several other parishioners, Paul became one of the speakers in other parishes throughout the archdiocese, helping those parishes to embrace the concept and to understand the biblical concept. It's what God asked. And of course, over a series of a few weeks, people came to realize that Jesus approved of that. And I know that's what convinced me in my own life, although I had always been generous, but to actually think of a specific percentage amount to give to the church. And so at St. Therese, to give people hope and encouragement, we even guaranteed that if they came upon bad times financially at the end of any year, we would return to them all that they had given in the tithing system, should they need it. But we didn't have many people. I think one family needed some assistance. Even those whose income had dropped off, they still continued to tithe because they recognize it all belongs to God. So you were so successful as a parish in embracing that concept and providing these wonderful facilities that when it came time for our 10th anniversary, Cardinal Maida came to celebrate with us. Bishops don't celebrate 10th anniversaries in parishes. Maybe a 25th, a 50th, yes. Next Sunday, 175th at Holy Trinity down in Corktown, but not 10th anniversaries. But that's the praise and the esteem with which Cardinal Maida held our parish. Well, incidentally, like the Pharisee who gave at least 10%, but Zacchaeus, who gave away half, it's not a mortal sin if we give more than 10%. Not that bad a thing. And so the Lord calls us to be generous with however He's blessed us. And so the motto in our parish throughout the years has been not equal gift, equal sacrifice. So we sacrifice some aspect of our life in order that we might be able to give more generously. Like maybe we eat at Arby's or McDonald's, or we still eat out, but maybe not as a fancier place that would cost us more money. So in any event, God is never outdone in generosity, and those of us who have embraced that concept find that it's very fulfilling, gratifying, and like Mikey says, try it, you like it. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it.